Tonight we welcome Coptic member and World Service graduate, part of the mastery courses of the Coptic Fellowship, and currently attending the self-mastery class. Bella, Peggy Reeves, wonderful Coptic member in addition to the Coptic Center and our Coptic family. Tonight's topic is a unique one, and you'll benefit from it. Bella, as she goes by these days, Bella Reeves is a unique international business and life coach. She has led seminars both here and abroad in English and in Spanish. She offers a transformation through digging deep into who you are to discover your power and accountability, focus, and support. Her life experiences have led her through many opportunities to make a difference in others' lives. She's a former teacher trainer, social worker, and a professor working with people of all ages and from many different cultures and countries. Tonight's topic is the blessings of vulnerability. Please welcome Bella Reeves.
Well, thank you for
more housekeeping here. Sorry.
I'm honored to be here, to be invited to be here tonight. And I'd like to speak a little bit about my name, because it seems to... What's the matter?
Your mic.
Where is it?
Right there.
Oh. Okay. I don't know how to work it. Is it falling off? Okay, so I wanted to say something about Bella and Peggy, because I have a friend that said, I always wear hats. And she said, remember Bella Abzug? If some of you are old enough to remember Bella Abzug, she was a famous politician in upstate New York. And so I saw John, and I said, John, what's Bella mean? And he said, communication of the divine feminine leading to freedom. It's yours if you want it. I went, yes, I'll take Bella. So that's how this started. So I'm starting to feel a little bit like a split personality, but I love Bella. And I feel like at this time of changing and moving into a new thing, I'm stepping into it. So today, the topic is the blessing of vulnerability. And so I started looking up, actually I was asked to speak on that subject. So I looked up the word and the meaning of vulnerability, and it said vulnerability means to be susceptible to physical or emotional harm, or it may refer to someone or something in need of special care, support, or protection. I'd like you to all close your eyes for a minute and think of a time when you felt vulnerable. Just for a second, think of a time when you felt really vulnerable. Okay, do you have it? And you can open your eyes. And I'm going to say to you that probably, aside from feeling vulnerable, you probably felt some fear, and you probably had courage there. So I looked up the word, I was thinking about courage. Well, cor in Latin means heart. And in French, le cœur is heart. So I looked up, what's the meaning of courage? And the oldest meaning of courage is to speak one's mind by telling all of one's heart. I'm going to say it again, to speak one's mind by telling all of one's heart. Over time, the word courage has come to refer to brave, heroic deeds. And over time, the word vulnerable has come to mean weak. However, vulnerability is the cornerstone of courage building. Nothing is more uncertain than the creative process. I'm sure Linda can relate to this. There is no innovation without the possibility of failure, which leads to feeling vulnerable. The courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing. It's about showing up when you can't control or predict the outcome. What gives someone the courage to be vulnerable? Now, my idol is Brene Brown. I hope you guys have read some of her stuff. If you haven't, I highly suggest it. She's just phenomenal. And she is a researcher. She has her PhD in social work, and I often wish I would have done that, but I'm not a researcher. I don't like it. But anyway, I love all of her stuff. And so she says, what gives someone the courage to be vulnerable is worthiness. Worthiness, feeling worthy, gives us the courage to take risks, to be vulnerable. Well, to feel unworthy, and this just blew my mind, to feel unworthy is to feel shame. And shame is what stops us. She says unworthiness stops us, and the courage to face one's shame is the only pathway to healing. Otherwise, we cut ourselves off from feeling altogether, from gratitude, from others, and from life. She also says that the antidote to shame, the antidote to shame is empathy. When others have empathy for us, we're more apt to feel worthy. Now, that's really something to think about. I think all of us in this room feel that other people have empathy for us. I feel that they have our back, we have support. So I would like to share a story about me. That this guy has been on the news all week long. Have you seen the guy that, he's the one that found the side door into the colleges and universities? The big scandal, millions and millions and millions of dollars, people paid him. Well, I moved to Florida about 10 years ago, and I had a team of people that had my back in Detroit, Michigan, but they knew I wanted to get a job, and they were real supportive that I get this job. So it was before we had really nice cell phones. I gave them my license plate, and I was to meet that guy on the Highway 95 on the way to South Beach. I lived in Pompano Beach. So I didn't know who he was. I just had an interview with him on the phone. So I went and met him at this gas station, and I followed him to this compound in South Beach. And the interview was with the 11th in line to be the king of Saudi Arabia. I ended up being the tutor for their daughter. Anyway, I have lots of stories to tell about being in the Arabic world, but he is the same guy. And I never trusted him. I didn't like him. But now I feel validated that I had those feelings, because my first interview with him was at this very, very, very elite high school where they spent as much as a college education per year to have their... Anyway, what gave me the courage to be that vulnerable was the fact that I had all these people that were cheering me on, supporting me, wanting me to do well, and they had my back. They knew where I was, and so I feel that way about here at the Coptic Center. I think that people have each other's back here. I think they really want you to do well. So the feeling of empathy leads to the feeling connected with others. So having empathy for me such that I dared to ask. So his name was Rick Snyder, but they've been referring to him as William. Singer, Rick Singer. But they've been referring to him on the TV as William. He's probably William Richard Singer or whatever, but anyway. So that's my claim to fame this week. That guy, he's the one that hired me. Oh, my Lord. Thank God I didn't like the job and quit, because maybe I'd be looking at jail, Anyway, back to my presentation. Now that you have some understanding of vulnerability, courage, worthiness, shame, and empathy, what's missing? The presence of which would push you out into the playing field of life, into the uncertainty, into the arena of uncertainty. What is that that's missing? It's core values. So what is a core? Well, think about a seed bursting out of its shell, or a butterfly inching its way out of its cocoon. That's its core value. That's its purpose. But we as human beings, we have core values. And when we believe in something so strongly that it moves us forward, that it gets us into feeling having the courage to take the action. So remember the definition, telling all of one's mind by telling all of one's heart, or vice versa. Telling all of one's heart by telling all of one's mind. When the heart is engaged with a powerful emotion, there's usually passion. And when the heart is involved, so too are emotions. So what are emotions? Energy. To emote means to move the energy out. Before we can have the kind of heartfelt, passionate courage to move us from the safety into the uncertainty of being vulnerable, we have to come from a core value. So I'll give you some examples that I have. I have a friend, I'm calling her Spiritual Sue. She says that no one and nothing is going to get in the way of her spiritual growth and development. So wouldn't you say probably one of her core values is spirituality? I have another friend I'm calling her Friendly Fran. She loves friends. She really honors her friends. She's very, very, very proud of all the friends. She's a very loyal friend. So one of her core values is probably friendship. Then there's freedom rider Fred. And he can't stand to have slats on his front porch. You know, he don't fence me in. And he rides a motorcycle, and he's single. So what do you think his core value is? One of them. Freedom, yes. So you might want to start thinking about what people say about you as to what your core values are. So for me, people have said to me many times, "You're so brave, you're so courageous." And I'm going, I didn't, nah. But then I think back, now that I think back, well, I cut the first trail at a dude ranch. I put all my belongings on a moving van and let my girlfriend pick the place and move to Florida. I mean, not everybody. So to find out what your core values are, you might want to think about how other people describe you. So the blessing inside of vulnerability is you have to believe, you have to have faith, you have to trust, and you have to feel worthy enough to risk, to be vulnerable, in spite of fear, which you will not have inside of now. That's another little story. When I moved to Florida, I got my fabulous little apartment, and the second night was the worst hurricane they'd had in 60 years, 60. And I didn't know what a hurricane was. I'd never been in a hurricane. So I was taking my moving boxes and holding them up to the windows. And anyway, people asked me, "Weren't you afraid?" No, because when you're in the moment, you're not afraid. You can't see, we're in this moment, we're not, so I wasn't afraid. So operating from a core value will move you into action, which is the blessing of playing full out in life. Hamid Bey certainly put himself in vulnerable situations. He demonstrated that enough faith and enough preparation, he could do superhuman kind of things. So when you don't just you don't do things to be vulnerable. It's like taking this risk, but you believe in it so strongly, and you're so into the moment that you're going to be able to create it, do it. Now, in the Bible, it says on Isaiah 4:10, it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." But remember, we here at the Coptic Center really practice feeling and being connected with each other. We got each other's back. That's also part of it. You know, to be vulnerable, it's a lot easier to do that when you feel that people are supporting you. So I'd like to leave you with one final thing. May you have the courage to step out into the unknown, and may you experience the blessing of vulnerability. God bless you.